Welcome to another episode of the Storm Before the Calm podcast. I am your host, Lori Grace Bailey. I have someone I've actually interviewed, Chris, and I'm glad to bring him back because I'm doing something a little bit different today, and we're going to get into that. But first, I want to introduce to you Chris Wicklund, degreed meteorologist, storm chaser, Aurora fiend, I guess. Is that right? I mean, are you still crushing on auroras?
Well,
Chris, welcome, by
it's
the way.
well, thank you for having me. It's been kind of quiet lately on the Aurora front because the sun's going through its downward swing of the solar
No.
cycle.
I didn't know that. So the chances of me seeing the aurora down here on the southern border is very slim, or it's actually going away from that again. Because I've seen it 2 or 3 days out of the last 2 3 years. It's been really phenomenal to be down in southern Arizona and like, oh, pink skies. This is amazing.
Yeah, and the solar cycle's every 11 years, so the sun's magnetic field flips. We went through the peak in about 2024, so now we're at
No,
2026.
yeah, yeah.
And the downswing and like the end of the swing is about 2029. So we're approaching quickly, about 3 years to go, but the aurora chances are dwindling throughout mid latitudes, low latitudes. It might be like one day of the year over the next year or something like that. We just haven't really had much solar activity to look at over the last
Okay.
6 months.
Wow. Okay. Well, that makes sense why it's been relatively quiet and we haven't seen too many nights where everything goes bonkers. I think the last one was, what is it, October or was it
Yeah,
November?
October of
Somewhere
last
around there.
year.
Yeah, I was at the Oregon Mountains in Las Cruces. They look like the Grand Tetons, but because they have those rocky granite spires, are really beautiful. And I always envisioned, getting something like that. And I was able to get this just reddish glow over the Oregon's. What is it called? Right at the edge of the aurora, and then it turns to just like normal black sky. And I forget what
Yeah,
that's
I
called, but it
I
was
was
really
just
cool.
amazed at because I haven't really seen many auroras where, especially at mid latitudes, I can see my shadow. And this one
No
was just I
freaking
could see my
way.
shadow for like 3 hours straight. And I can't see reds that well with aurora. But for this specific event, it was like I can very visibly see it in front of my eyes without a camera.
No way. Yeah, see, that's something I really wanna see as well is hope, but I'd love to see it from, like, Alaska or, I have some friends in, is it Finland? That
Yeah.
they really get that opportunity and they actually do tours. Like, how do you even predict that there's gonna be an aurora? But I guess if you're that far north, you have a better chance.
Well, the sun does have its coronal holes that come every 27 days. So for those northern latitude trips, it's
Mhm.
easier for them to do those 2 week periods where the coronal hole comes across the sun and gives us some faster solar wind during a tour. And then hopefully their guests get to see aurora or not.
Yeah, that's like, the Sprite Chaser, right? Paul Smith. People book
Yeah.
tours with him, and he always seems to pull a rabbit out of his hat. Like, how do you give tours about sprites? I've captured many sprites, and it has been hard, hard, hard. And I took advantage of it. That we want those MCSs, those mesoscale convective systems, to push off and to really produce tons of positive lightning. I'm actually sounding like a scientist now. I know what the heck I'm talking about. Finally, but you want that massive storm, 100 miles or more, even to push out in a really dark conditions. And Arizona is really ripe for that. If you know what you're doing, know where you're looking, and of course, if you live so far out of the boondocks or in the boondocks, in the away from the city, you're already halfway there in learning how to capture that. But for someone to do a tour, I've been willing to do tours with people, and it just, you really can't predict, like, "Oh, let's do a tour on August 23rd." Well, guess what? You're
Well,
probably going to fail. So I don't know how people do that, but Paul seems to always get people some magic each and every time he does those things.
I'm always memorized by the one you post, the one video you have
Which
where
one
it's
is
like,
that?
you were I'm pretty sure this is in the Southwest, right? Or it was in Texas,
Mhm.
but you have like just an iPhone video of the Sprite, and I was like, "I want that."
I lost that video, that iPhone video, and I really want to. I never thought I would capture a sprite, and I just said, yeah, I had my gear all on my mirrorless cameras fired up, and then I literally had my iPhone pointed at it, And of course, its frame rate is probably like 5 frames a second or whatever, which is terrible for regular video. You're just kind of doing the robot chop. But I just pointed it where over the mountains, and I remember seeing a sprite, like looking down at the iPhone, like, "Oh, you got to be kidding me!" Pull a
Yeah.
reach there, you got to be kidding me, you got to be kidding me. It was pretty awesome to be able to do that and to see blue jets as well. I know we're talking a lot about me, but let's get back to you. What have you been up to? What's been going on? You have a NASA hat. Are you working with NASA now? Or are or
No,
what's going on with that?
I've just been coasting, working my job every day in space weather operations, trying to find new opportunities whenever I can. Schooling is not in the cards right now. I don't know if I can take on more debt for that. I did
Right.
apply for the National Weather Service recently. I have no idea how
Sweet.
that'll go in the interviews or rounds. Hopefully, I'll get picked. Fingers
Yeah.
crossed.
I saw they
But
had a big opening, a huge opening, a lot of positions opening recently.
yeah, about 100 or 150 openings at a whole bunch of different offices.
I was going to say, if I didn't have kids and if I wasn't married and if I was just solo, I would move out to the plains. I'd move out towards Norman or Moore or someplace like that. It's actually not that expensive. I actually looked into that, or maybe even Amarillo. I think the people of Amarillo. I don't know if I'm totally wrong, but every time I've been through Amarillo, people are super friendly. They just seem to have that old, not the new Texas attitude, but that old Texas attitude where it's almost like, come on in, let's break bread together. Oh, you have a or you're out of gas. Here, take the gas. I don't need payment. People are just kind. Remember the days where people would just be willing to help a neighbor or help a friend or help a stranger. It doesn't seem like we're there anymore, but maybe it's coming back.
Isn't Amarillo more of like a growing city right now?
It is. I think I don't know how many hundreds of thousands, maybe 200,000 or something, but it's a growing city, but it just seems like it's got a nice vibe. Plus, I mean, you've got the storm chasing guy and a bunch of other people who live in and around Amarillo, and it sure is beautiful if you can chase up on the Cap Rock. It's really an opportunity to be able to chase those eastern New Mexico supercells and then get up to Denver or anywhere from Amarillo. So I would consider moving to Amarillo.
Yeah, my only experience of I only have 2 Texas chases, and both of them were not good.
Jen Walton really does not like chasing in Texas too, and I know she's had bed bugs at hotels, and it seems like every time she gets
Mhm.
into Texas, she has a negative experience chasing as well. So I've had positive experiences chasing. So
Yeah, the first chase was Morton 1.0, because now he designated
wow,
2.0 as the other one. I drove from the
yeah,
Twin Cities to Morton, Texas,
no,
and it was a 2-day trip, and we were like, "We're gonna go chase a marginal." And that was the first day of our chasecation with a group of
right.
8 college students, and we get there, we see the models, all the thunderstorms, we park near Morton, near an oil field, a dog shows up. A dog shows up in an oil field, a random dog.
Oh my
Underneath our
goodness,
car, it's dehydrated. So then we're like, well, storms haven't all the way fired yet. What do we do with this dog? Let's take it to a shelter.
right.
So we saved a dog that day.
You missed the Morton tornado.
Not yet. The storms fired. And as soon as they did, a lot of them went outflow dominant.
Hmm.
So it produced a lot of dust storms. So we couldn't really see any of the tops of the thunderstorms. So the leader of my car called it off, being like, let's go to Dallas. And then about an hour and a half later, we check our phones. You check Twitter. There's a huge wedge near Morton, Texas.
That's painful.
It was a little painful. I was laughing a little bit, being like, why'd we leave? Granted, to see the tornado, you did have to go through some large hail to see it.
Hmm.
So consolation prizes, got to pick your battles, I guess. But
Yeah.
it did sting.
Wow, that does sound painful a little bit, but I don't know a chaser who hasn't either busted on a really great tornado, even if they were close to it, or busted hard in other ways. It's amazing. I think we put some of the biggest chasers on this huge pedestal, and it's almost like we're sharing so much about their successes that we don't share about their busts. Adam Lucio was pretty bummed the other day for missing the Enid one, I think, the other day, and it just happens. You're going to miss stuff. And I think everybody needs to get that in their head that this is not an easy thing to do. And you have to learn how to deal with, and I think this is a perfect topic to jump into what we want to talk about. We have to understand that there's going to be huge failure on the path to finding success, right?
Yeah, and I mean, not every chaser can be on every single storm. When
Hmm.
Enid happened, I knew that like a whole large group of chasers were already on a different storm, on a different tornado. And so when that supercell fired near Enid, I was like, there's like what, two dots there.
Yeah,
Who's actually on that? Granted,
right.
who's the chaser that streamed it? Daniel Shaw. There we go.
Yes, Daniel Shaw. I
Daniel
remember jumping onto his live stream, and that was absolutely bonkers what he drove up to. Yeah.
I was hoping someone has to be on this. Like
Hmm.
eventually there was a little smaller group on it. So at that point I was like, I just want someone to at least document it. So someone
Yeah.
there was a streamer there documenting it. We have amazing footage and I was just sitting there on my phone being like, I'm so glad someone was there to report this because
Right.
everybody else was somewhere else. And that's the trade-off is like people can see tornadoes, they're on the right storm, they get a tornado. This is what I see on social media especially. People get this negative dopamine effect when they
Yeah.
hop on Twitter, especially in the weather community, and they see a trail on their phone, they're not on that storm. It's like
Right.
an immediate emotional whiplash.
Hmm. Totally.
The only way you can get out of it is you just gotta post through it or you just gotta eat it up.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
the some people's shots the way they capture things sometimes outweigh other people's. Like
Hmm.
when everybody's on the same storm for a tornado, you'll see like 150 pictures of a different angle of a tornado. Cool,
Right.
everybody got the same win, but if someone else wins somewhere else on a secondary target or a different tornado,
That
right
blows
now,
up.
I
Right.
would
Yeah.
it would be considered the secondary target an even bigger win than everybody else posting about the same one. A good example would be last year, I think it was like May 25th. A whole bunch of storm chasers went to Texas, me included, and then Quincy, I think it's Vigel,
Hmm.
got a beautiful white stovepipe near Clovis, New Mexico, I think, or is it Dora? And he was the only notable storm chaser there to do it. So that is a really good example. Like everybody checks their phone, we're all in the same spot, and there's only one other storm chaser on an actual tornado. It's like mega negative dopamine. Like
Right.
immediately, I'm the
Totally.
worst chaser. This sucks. Why am I here?
Exactly. And I think that, that's a good lead into what we want to talk about today is content creation. And everybody feels like I've got to be at the biggest tornado. I've got to be at the number one target. Guess what? Especially this year, we've been talking about convergence being a huge problem in some of these. Everyone's blaming the young kids, and it's everybody. You're all guilty. If you're out there, you're a part of the convergence, but I'm not here to judge anybody for chasing a tornado, right? Whether it's target one, the primary target, or if it's target two, Falcon storm chasing. That guy was on one of I think it was the same day as Enid, I think, but I can't remember. But it was those storms that went into Fort
Mhm.
Worth, and he was on it, and everybody else was in that junk in the high risk southern Oklahoma target, and he was already there on chasing that secondary risk. We put the little falcon toy, the doll that he had. It was really cute, but he actually captured the few tornadoes that spun up down there on that big supercell. But the bottom line is, we're always trying to capture something unique, and getting into content creation. And you really wanted to jump into that topic because it's a real bummer right now. Doesn't it seem that to be the case that you try really hard to grow your account? Of course, you want to share your information. You want to share your victories. You want to share your pictures. I just captured this and I just got this amazing shot or this amazing footage and video, and you post it, and either, somebody else beats it to the punch, and Connor Croft has 100,000 views on it, and you have the same tornado or whatever, and you have 50 views on it or whatever. So take, for example, those people who, they go out there, they're trying to get this really good content, but they're also trying to grow their account. Let's have that discussion because a lot of people are failing and it's either the algorithms crushing them, they're not doing the right thing, or they're actually being super negative to the very people that, they're biting the hand that feeds them, so to speak, in that they're now attacking the people that they want to become a part of, or the community that they want to become a part of. Like I saw a photographer yesterday totally shitting on other photographers whose, the algorithm's been blowing up for less quality type of content, maybe lower quality content because they're novice photographers, but they're getting better traction. And these professionals are feeling the frustration. So what are they doing? They're lashing out at others. Instead of lashing out at the algorithm or lashing out at maybe what are they doing wrong or reassessing what they're doing wrong. What's going on here? What's your take on this? And what have you noticed? I want to pick your brain on this, and I want to be able to have these kind of conversations on the podcast more so that we can get into the things that matter and maybe help push people in the right direction. So we're not just focused on the likes and the follows. You know what I mean?
Right. I think there's a whole bunch of different ways you can take this conversation, but specifically for posting, I've noticed a lot of social media algorithms are very time based and they're very news based and in the moment. And so I've noticed a lot specifically for aurora events, tornado events,
Oh,
natural
for sure.
disasters. Even when I'm not present, not chasing, unrelated to whatever's going on, my posts reach a whole wide algorithm reach, even if I'm not chasing. Sometimes on storm chases, like huge storm days when I know I cannot be there, I gain I don't know, 50 to 100 followers from random accounts who are interested in weather who are like, oh, look at him. He's posting about weather during an event. And I'm not even storm chasing.
Hmm. What kind of
I
content
think
are you posting though at the time that there's a big event, even if you're not chasing?
I'll post things related to, I mean, the weather events or like, "Oh, look, someone on this live stream has a tornado," or like, I post my thoughts about a severe weather setup, where I would maybe target a chase. I'm not physically there. I feel like if I was physically there, maybe there'd be a higher audience chance, but it's very time-based. Like, you can
Hmm.
work your way in to the conversation. I just think
I agree with that.
sometimes people do their chasing thing and then they wait a day or 2 and then post their tornado pic. Yeah, and the algorithm has already moved on from you to some other time-based, news-based thing.
Yeah.
So, I think it's changed a lot. It's more so it's not a great thing, but it's changed to who's gonna get it first. Who is going to step up to the microphone, post the first picture to be the centerfold of the event, and then people can latch on to that for conversation.
Hmm.
I've noticed that for Twitter. I've noticed that for other social media platforms. It's just, especially for tornado outbreaks, if there's a tornado outbreak and people are talking about it, they're just going to follow whoever's talking about it.
Right.
If
And
you're
that's
a scroller or a liker, it's going to be harder.
and that includes Joe and Marcia sitting in their home in southern Oklahoma, right, who happen to go outside with their iPhone, and the tornado or whatever happens, the trees happen to fall down right in front of them. You're competing
Hmm.
for them as well. You're not just competing with other chasers or other social media people that are going after this kind of content. You're also competing with everybody. You're also competing with the big media that doesn't want to pay you, right? So that algorithm's chomping at the bit for information that's fast, that's relevant, and that's timely.
Yeah. And I think there's another avenue that we have created in the weather space over like 5 years. I think we have created this space that everybody has a shot to doing this.
Mm-hmm.
We have had the successes of Twister 2. We have the success of Ryan Hall and Max Velocity being
Mm-hmm.
well-known content creators. We have probably like 10 to 20 very well-known content creator storm chasers right now that have had major successes over the last 3 years.
Right.
We have a lot of storm chasers that are streaming now. So YouTube is a huge thing for a lot of people and they could just come right along with
Yeah.
everybody.
I can't have enough windows, opened up. I have my big TV up here, and I used to have the computer right below the TV. Now I have it here, but I can't have enough smaller windows of Reed and Tornado Pagey and Ryan Scholes and the Freddie McKinneys. I can't have everybody all up, at the same time. There's so many great content providers out there, content creators out there that are going out doing that live streaming. Do you think that the market's saturated though, or is there room for someone that wants to try to do something unique and find their own way and fill that niche that's out there?
This is just my opinion, but I think we've created the perfect disaster of oversaturation. And we can tell that it is getting oversaturated just based on how many people are at each storm chase right now. In March and April alone, we're having like May/June level storm chasing activity,
Yeah.
swarming storms, even when it's early season. Usually it's late season that happens. Now everybody wants a piece of the pie.
Well,
Everybody wants to get in on the streaming.
look at Kankakee. When was that? Was it in early March? I
Early
can't
March.
even early March, and everybody again the very next day. What were people complaining about? The convergence. People
Yes.
were complaining
And there
about
were
that.
lots of pictures and streams of just like cars miles down the road following storm chaser dots or following the dominator. I think the dominator was
Hmm.
there. And it continued all the
Yes,
way into April. Now, I mean, there's posts now of if the dominator goes to Oklahoma, there's at least 10
a
cars behind
line.
it following it.
Please
So
don't do that.
we've created this like, I mean, we're all a part of this little ecosystem we've created,
Yeah.
but we all have created this thing where, hey, we're storm chasing, guys, come watch us, but we're also inviting people, general public, to be with us. So now that we've done that, now general public is like, now that I have chased and watched somebody online do it, I'm going to
Mm.
do it myself. I'm going to become the next Reed Timmer, the next Ryan Hall, yada yada yada. We're creating this perfect market of oversaturation, and people can just copy other people. And where it gets lost, and where people probably can find themselves like, oh, I'm not doing enough, or I'm not finding success, is you cannot copy Reed or Ryan or Max or Connor
Right.
Croft who have already presented themselves in the space.
Yeah.
This is the part where a lot of people struggle in content creation is you have to start finding your own avenue. Like you have to become a brand new creator, do something you haven't done before in storm chasing. And I think that's where a lot of people are at right now is
And do it
they're
differently.
trying to model what has already been modeled in the community. They're all trying to get there for it. They're all seeing people are getting money for this. I'm going to
Yeah.
do it too. And now everybody is kind of a little stuck. And you got to kind
Hmm.
of be a little egotistical to find, this isn't working. I'm going to storm chase my
Yeah.
own. And if people like the way you storm chase and you do it your own way, they'll follow you for that. If you do something different or else.
Now, I'm thinking about all of this as well, and I see the fact that there is already market saturation with live streams. There's all these different things, yet there are always people that just seem to pop in that seem to just be unaffected by this surge in the market, right? In whatever people's consciences and the attention span that and there's attention span and there's community. You have only a certain amount of eyes looking at this kind of content, and then you have the attention span. Are they just going to jump over? Are they going to stick with you, or are they going to just look at something else? Because now it's the age of scrolling, TikTok, this, that. People's attention spans are so much smaller than they used to be. How can you not only get people to tune in or to take a look at your website or find something that they think is relevant for them, even if it's just entertainment, and then keep them there, or bring them back? That's really an issue. I've done this through and through. I've found the successes that I've needed to, and I've stepped away from them. And then I slowly rebuilt, or I started from zero. And I think that people need to, I've said this before a couple of years ago. I said, don't be afraid to start from zero again. Don't be afraid to reinvent yourself. And what I mean by that is that is not being afraid to reinvent yourself and refocus on the things that matter, because Bottom line is, I notice that when I focus on that negativity that's out there, that the algorithms say, yes, rage bait, yes, this, you're going to get tons of views. If you focus on that, you can you can only do that for such a short time before people who are following you are also going to just be like, man, this, I don't have space in my head. The world is weird right now, and I'm just trying to make ends meet, and I don't want to come to your feed to only be barraged by that same negativity that I'm going to find everywhere else. I need something of value, and I think that's really something that I have always tried to share with people, is that, and the photographer Dave Krugman has said this. Maybe he says it all the time, but I love sharing this. It's the quote that if you add value before you ask for value, you'll never have to ask. And I really think that that's so important. These guys like the Freddie McKinney's, he produces such top notch quality live streaming. You watch Freddie and you're watching a movie, right? And then you see it happen, the things that happen, like him rescuing people live and right there and then. But not only that, he brings a wholesomeness to it. So does Tornado Pagey and Bryce Shelton. You watch that and you just know that I'm not getting mired in the stuff that's going to bring me down. I'm going to feel uplifted, and they're providing a value that you watch this and it's a feel good stream, right? And then you have other streams. You have the Reed Timmers, and you watch Reed and you're expecting screaming, and you're expecting, zero metering, and you're expecting a real spectacle. And Reed almost always provides that as well. Found their niche, but I don't know. I just think it's so important that whatever you decide to do, is that you provide value first before you ask for value. People come into this space thinking, why shouldn't I? I deserve I deserve to have my content liked, and I deserve to have this big following because I'm great at what I do. I started off as the opposite. I've had mental health issues, mental health struggles with self-confidence and self-worth. And as a photographer in a growing space, that's not an easy thing to have when you're trying to find some sort of validation in sharing your own great work or your successes out there. Because if you put if you put too much weight into that, you're going to be really disappointed when the algorithm says, nah, why would I look at your stuff if you're doing the exact same thing that Freddie's doing? I really think it comes down to authenticity.
Yes, that's actually what I wanted to get to next. Because, like you said, we do have short attention spans. And that is because of the age of social media, of the scrolling. But I have noticed, especially this year, people are seeking personality, authenticity, and
Hmm.
personable content. And they will. And if they're searching for it, they will stay on your page for more than 7 seconds. What do you have to add? Like you said, for Freddie and for Paige and Bryce, they create a space that is very personable, that is
Hmm.
uplifting. They have a story to go with their storm chasing, so you know
Yeah.
what you're going to get when you go there for it. And the advice I would give to anybody new in the space is your storm chasing does not stop at you posting a tornado picture or a lightning
Hmm.
shot. Your storm
Mm.
chasing and everything starts when you get in the car and or you're at home. You're looking at models. You need to connect to your audience somehow
Mhm.
and show that, like, I'm going to do this thing just because I enjoy it. I want you to come with me because I enjoy it. You should enjoy it too. We're both sharing an
Right.
experience together. It's
Yeah.
kind of transactional, but we're sharing experiences. And it's all about storytelling in anyways.
Mhm.
But if anything I can give advice about is when you're storm chasing, find the ways to make personality and yourself included in it. Don't just go get your phone, take a minute video of a storm and post it on social media. Hopefully, like, oh, it gets some likes, and then you're gone for 6 months. Like, that's,
Mhm.
if you're looking for content creation space, if you're looking for a way in, you got to put yourself in there too. So, like, even when it's off season, you're not chasing or anything. But, like, what are you doing? Like, are you doing any hobbies? You got anything going on in your life? Like, people are interested. You're out there for a tornado. I'm interested in your hobby, but then people are also going to search because of your hobbies. What
Yeah.
else do you do? Like, you're an interesting person. I think you're great. Oh, you chase auroras like me? Like, I chase auroras, but, like, what else do I do? Like,
Right.
I guess a fun fact, I sing in a choir outside of storm chasing and work every week. And I perform in downtown Omaha. But I don't post about it all the time, but I can drop news sometimes, like, "Hey, I'm performing downtown, y'all, if you wanna come see me or not." It's all about
Hmm.
building a personal brand over time, and there are storm chasers that have built that brand over time. I think a lot of it gets muddied out by a lot of the people that are now in this, like, medium, low level place where, like, "Oh, I started streaming. Why isn't anyone watching me? I got this tornado. Why am I not famous?"
Yeah.
Or, I did this thing. Where's my satisfaction?" It's not
Right.
it doesn't work that way anymore.
I think people need to understand, and those are good points that you made. What you're talking about is I don't think necessarily that I don't think that content creators necessarily understand that when people come to whenever they like your page, follow your content or whatever it is, they're making an investment into you. They might not have given you a super chat or whatever it is. You hear that all the time on these big streams. Hey, thanks for the super chat. Thanks for this. I actually love if I've got some extra money to throw. I love to support those same people too, like Tornado Paging or these people and maybe kind of help them $20 for gas or something and gifted memberships or whatever it is. And that's a personal sense of satisfaction, but it's only because I'm invested in, and I keep saying Paigey, she's just the sweetest person ever. And I got to know her. And that's why I have that connection as someone who's not on that side of the content creation. I'm invested in so many chasers out there. I look at Dr. Cameron Nixon's stuff when he posts something. I look for Trey, right? Trey Greenwood when I see, hey, everybody, this is Trey, but he's providing value to me and I'm invested in what they have to say. So when I see something come back, when I see him pop out of nowhere and post something, even if it's just a small critique of why the SPC missed something the day before, I'm involved in that. I'm following not just the information, but I'm following that person because they always bring value, a return on investment of my time. You know what I mean? I think that's so essential that we begin to perceive that if someone's going to come and like my page or even make a comment, they're investing in their time. Their time is precious because TikTok is right there to just blitz them, or the other, Instagram reels or whatever it is. It's just there to blitz you. Boom, 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 boom with content and information. And for you to be able to grab someone's attention for 30 seconds a day, you should be grateful. And I just think that's where I come from. And that's how I've always grown accounts. It's been slow. It's been organic. It's taken time, but I'm really glad that I'm at a point right now where I don't care that I'm only back to 2,000 or whatever it is, 1,800 followers right now on here and 30,000, or it's only remained about that on Instagram. Yes, I do pay attention to those things and I want those to grow. I want to have a build bigger audience and share more. But it's just such a relief that that's not the goal, that I'm not looking at that every day. I need more. I've got more followers. And oh no, I use those numbers as a tool for me to go, okay, am I just stagnating or am I continuing to provide a return on investment for people who are spending time to admire or appreciate my lightning photos or my dumb takes or my, simple things of me just poking around the yard and doing work around the yard. I'm sharing my life for a reason, sharing that story so that people know that there's an authenticity behind me, that I'm a real person with just real emotions in a real life.
Yeah, and I guess some metrics I have on my end is I have a completely different social media page on TikTok where I'm specifically just a content creator in Omaha. Like, I exist here. I do content videos about, like, oh, I went to a restaurant, went to a bar, I went to an experience, and then talk about it in this chair. Or I talk about a new coffee shop that opened up, or we're getting
Cool.
Swig, which is a dirty soda shop from Idaho that's coming here. And people follow me and really like those videos and they find value and they'll give me recommendations to go try other things. And
Cool.
it's taught me that people find value in me just going to experience the city and just going to try things out and then tell my opinion about it, whether they should go there, whether they should not go there. It's led me to some interesting experiences. Like, I got invited to a restaurant because I didn't like a specific mac and cheese at this specific restaurant. Like, they were like, "Oh, I think I could do better. Come to my restaurant, I'll give it to you for free." Like,
Wow.
that's the kind of experience, that the one-on-one, like, community building that
Yeah.
really goes actually a long way,
Hmm.
rather than, like, "I'm gonna make this tweet," because your tweet goes worldwide. goes to
Hmm.
any language, anywhere in the world. It's really hard, especially on Twitter, I think, to find a personable community in your local area or your local states
Yeah.
because everyone around the world sees it at all times, and it can be make an algorithm. It can just go into nowhere. There's not really a predictable thing, but if you're tweeting about an event, you might have some higher hits, some views, like people might come to your page. Really depends on your where you think you're putting value in, like you said earlier. Like, is it what I
You're
tweet? Is it valuable or not?
and you're broadening your horizons as well. You're not just focusing about you're not just speaking to one tiny audience. I posted that earlier this week that when I look at analytics, I'm looking at who's interacting with my content. I really think that that's important, that if you really want to understand that, it's important to know who's interacting with your content and who's not. I've noticed that, in fact, you have better engagement than I do. And yes, I'm looking at these because it helps me to understand that maybe I'm doing things right, or I need to improve on things. I think on Twitter, on my weather Twitter, I'm trying to share things in a way that explains it like I'm five, Eli five, like on Reddit, right? That just speaks to people outside of the weather community. And I know it almost sounds like, man, I really sound dumb when I share things like this. And I'm like, I don't care. I understand the concepts now. I know how to chase. I know how to get in close. And, I'm not a meteorologist, but I can chase storms effectively. I've proven that to myself, and I don't need you know, anybody else's praises to be able to do that. But at the same time, I need to be able to talk to people outside of that. Like you said, there's a significant amount of people who follow me because they're in Southern Arizona, or they want to visit Southern Arizona, or they're the Tucson folk, or they want to know when I'm sharing about El Ninos. Because I do, in the end, I tell people, don't trust me, go to the experts, trust the SPC, trust the Dr. Nixon, or the Trays, and the people who really know what they're doing. And that's why I will share that value of somebody else's account often. I don't really, the algorithm doesn't reward you for just reposting anymore. Right. So, but it's a part
Well,
of,
I would.
am I
I
wrong?
don't know. I'm going to slightly disagree
Okay.
because I guess of where my account is at right now on Twitter. It depends on what I'm reposting, but I feel like right now Twitter is really valuing somebody reposting content because or it specifically tells you how many people liked your repost.
Hmm.
And sometimes I'll retweet someone's Aurora picture or someone's scientific fact, and then it'll tell me 100 people liked your repost, and I'm like, really?
Hmm.
People found that retweet in
Yeah.
the middle of their timeline somehow. So I think retweet value has gotten some power back rather than like,
Okay.
oh, it shows up on someone's timeline.
I did see that it shows you the likes on how many people liked your retweet.
But one thing I do want to highlight is like, especially with us in the content space, it's also important to highlight younger generations.
Mhm.
We inspire younger people to go storm chase anyways, and they're super excited.
Right.
While we also support photographers, we also got to support the aspiring young meteorologists who want to make a cute video, who find this really great picture. And, it also builds up that like rapport over time. Like we all
Mhm.
support each other. We all should be there for each other. And therefore let's show each other love.
No, I totally agree, and that's why I really, for me, the storm chasing community is all, like, y'all means all, right? I mean, as far as I'm concerned when it comes to that. And seeing a lot of people like the Lucy Youngs and the Alina Coopers who have been on the podcast already. I enjoy talking to this younger generation, because they're not going to do it the same way. I'm a Gen Xer, and me watching their posts and the way, not them, these two specifically, but I've seen other people come in and they've got their Twitter accounts and they're growing these accounts, and they have this unique, like, teenager way that is not my style. I wouldn't do that. I would look stupid if I did content like that, because that's not my generation. I don't have that same lingo or anything. And I'm not even appealing to that same group of people that they are, but they're finding their way, they're finding their path. And I think that's really amazing to see. And I'm just really proud of many in the chasing community, or that are growing into the chasing community, who are young and want to do things the right way. It also places a little bit of a burden on us older folk that, hey, let's at least try to promote a positive community instead of getting mired in the toxicity. How does one go from one follower to 10,000, let's say, or even 2,000? I have like close to 2,000 at this point. But how does one grow their account organically, especially right now? What do you think? Because the algorithm's always going to change. If you chase the algorithm, you're never going to have consistent good content, in my opinion. And you kind of got to just say, screw it, I'm going to do something different. I don't know. What's your take on that? How can someone today in 2026 grow their account in a positive way?
Well, you gotta do it a little bit selfishly, a little bit. And you gotta show up for yourself, one, and want to do it too. But a big things for starting new accounts is like follow the right people in the community and then start interacting. Interacting is a huge thing. It goes a long way. Like if you comment
Mm,
on other people's posts, you
mhm,
support them, you want to get invested in conversations. People are like, "Oh, who's that?" I like their
definitely.
opinion and stuff like that. And then you post your own content, like your own pictures, your own data, your own opinion pieces. That'll eventually track on other people's timelines when they comment on your stuff, you comment on theirs, you like their stuff. It's a very symbiotic relationship, but you
Mhm.
gotta want to be in the space too. I wouldn't say it's enough to just like and scroll on a social media app. It's not going to make you grow as fast. Here or there, you'll comment or something and like you'll gain a little bit of an audience. But if you're looking for something organic, natural, and you're looking for some organic growth over time, you got to really engage and really be involved in the space that you're in.
Mhm.
It's very
That
present in every niche.
that's kind of hard though for some people who are introverts. They want to get out there and grow an account, but
Hmm.
now they have to actually interact with someone and say, hey, I thought
Yeah.
that was really great. And we're so afraid of the judgment online, right? We're so afraid of, oh my gosh, I'm going to get shredded for this thought, this opinion, this and that. And it's often not the case, right? Like when I post, I mean, I will straight up talk to camera, like, what is so good about this photograph? How do tornadoes deviate and why? And teach me. And I'm stupid, explain it. And then he does. And I'm like, okay, cool. But I expected him to be like, and maybe people do that with me, but I'm asking the questions, what silly or not. What I'm saying is that most people are pretty cool about it, to know that you might not have the education level or the knowledge level to be able to speak properly about it. But if you don't ask the questions, you're not going to grow. So that's where the interacting comes in. Is what you're saying, right?
I think this is just from my personal experience. I used to be an introvert. I would say more of an extroverted introvert now. Like there's certain times where like I need my peace now, I need my space,
Hmm.
I need to be away from people. I would say conversating and or making videos, whatever your avenue of communicating on social media is also a form of getting yourself out there, even if you're not doing face to face with people. Because in 2023, when I went to my first Chaser Summit, I barely talked to people. I had people have to come up to me because I was like, I cannot go up to a Reed Timmer right now. He had to come up to
Yeah.
me because I was sitting on a couch alone on my phone because I'm introverted and I'm scrolling. Over time, I've like made videos and just done a lot of talking on social media, and I think it inadvertently teaches you how to properly talk to people, even if it's online in person. So when I went to the summit in 2024. I was going up to people. I was talking to individuals like Cameron Nixon and the other big chasers in the community. And it felt more natural.
Hmm.
Like we already talk online, but now we're just talking in person.
Right.
And I didn't have this little fear or notion like, oh, do I walk up to you? It just felt more of like, we've already talked online. I'm gonna come up and talk to you now. It's kind of like a thing you gotta learn over time. It's not gonna happen immediately. Sometimes
Right.
it'll click eventually. And it takes a lot of like growing and a lot of
I still
skill
haven't
building
been
to
to one.
do.
I still
You
haven't been to a
should.
Chaser Summit. I'm still, see, and here I am doing a podcast, and I'm posting, and I've done what I always do, and trying to build things up and share my stuff in a positive way. And yet put me in a big group like that. My social battery already is at empty when I enter a big convention like that. I will say this about them is what Holly Montaigne, I forget her, I always misspell it. Miss Holly Edgar being a part of that now, and what they did last year, every single person, including the young people, have told me nothing but positive things about it. So maybe I'll make that investment. We'll see. But I do see tons of positive reasons to go to the Chaser Summit. And I don't know. I still feel like I'm not a part of this community. That's the weird part about it. And I think I'm slowly coming out of my shell. We don't talk about people. Most people, I think, in this community, not most, but I think there's a lot of people in this community who are neurodivergent and autistic and or on the spectrum. I think that's what I want to glean from this is what can people do to grow their account and not feel the stress about it, because content creation is a real pain in the ass right now.
Yeah, my biggest thing that I do for myself is whenever I post videos, especially online, I will not go on. I have timers on my phone now for social media, 2 hours a day for each app.
Hmm.
Once I reach, well, 2 hours a day, all apps. Once I reach past it, I'm done. It's turned off.
Hmm.
And so it's really important while you do invest your time in yourself, that if you want to do social media, you also got to invest your time in yourself outside of social media. There's a space in the
Definitely.
world in public where you're with your family, your friends, and everything that's just not here. And for me, I gotta take sometimes a whole day away from TikTok. Like I post my TikToks and leave. I don't want to
Right.
know what happens with it. I don't want to know who likes it, comments on it. I'll get to it when I have time for it. I'm ready to invest back into it. So when you are traversing the content world, make sure that what you have to offer is you want to add value, but also you want to add value in yourself outside of the content world. Make sure that like
Right.
you're gonna still doing your hobbies, you're still going out with friends, you're going doing college, you're doing your homework, whatever, blah 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 blah. Okay, storm chasing and content will always be there when you're back. You will your time in your life is valuable. Content will be there. It'll come back. Don't worry.
I think that's the well. I think that's well said, and I think that's important to realize that we should not put too much weight into it. We shouldn't expect too much to happen all of a sudden. We shouldn't expect to go viral tomorrow, even if you capture the perfect tornado or the perfect shot. I think it's going to happen one way or another if it does. And I mean, my Haboob video, the biggest haboob that hit Arizona last year, went super viral on YouTube. And I did post it like a couple of days or a day after it happened. And it was really good content. And I wasn't expecting it to get I wasn't expecting it to go that viral. So I was really happy with that. But you know what? A lot of the ones that happened, a lot of the posts after that didn't really find that traction either. And I'm okay with any of it at this point. So you know why? Because I am disconnecting. It doesn't have as much weight as far as who I am about it. If my content is viral or not, it doesn't change who I am as a person. And I think that's the most important thing to do, is to make sure that we disconnect and don't put too much weight into it as far as your level of success. Your level of success is going to come from in here, and be proud of yourself for creating the content to begin with. And maybe people don't see it, but it's not necessarily your fault. So do those steps. And I think touching grass is so important, just like you said.
Yes, at times you do need to go outside.
And I think touching grass is what we're going to do next, is right after this. So,
Yes,
well,
that's all I'm
Chris,
about to do.
Thanks so much for coming on again and talking about content creation. I think in the future as well, I might have to have you back again, as well as we talk about some of the more important things. And instead of just talking and interviewing people about their stories, their personal stories, I do think it's important that we start sharing some of the good stuff that we can glean from all these people who have gone through so much and have useful information that they can share with that, from photography to, I want to get you back on and pick your brain on auroras, because I still don't know what the hell I'm looking at. When you guys post that stuff as KP this and that, I just need you to tell me go. Just say, yes, Lori, it looks good. Get the hell out of your house and go try for it at least. And I will. So I'm going to have to pick your brain on that in the future as well.
It sounds fun to me.
So I'm just going to say, Chris, why don't you take us out and do the outro and just tell people to tune in next time.
Well, tune in next time to the tune
The
in next time
storm
to the next
before the
podcast
calm.
episode. Maybe it'll be on season 3.
There we go. No, season 2. We haven't done season 2 yet. Still coming up. Thanks, Chris. Hey, everybody, I know you can't see me, but thanks for coming on to the podcast. And I hope that you gleaned some information from this. And I want to thank Chris Wicklund for being here and sharing his own input. Everybody take care, and we will see you on the next one. Take care, everybody.